Let's get into this God of War thing so I can hate myself later and get into Doom sooner.
Every single character in God of War is a cuck, a failure, fat, ugly, manipulative, or weak. Without exception, all of them deserve to have the...
Hold on. What? Did he just say Odin is manipulative like it's a bad thing? That's like... That's like his whole thing is being manipulative. All the other stuff, whatever. It's like completely subjective. Ugly, fat, what? I don't give a fuck. The throwing the fat thing on Thor, that always is hilarious to me because it's telling me that you just don't know anything about weightlifting. Because powerlifters that lift the most weight tend to be kind of rotund. You look at a guy like Eddie Hall? I think Eddie Brock is the Venom guy. Eddie Hall, the guy that lifted like 5,000 pounds. He's not ripped. He's not shredded. Like that's what Thor is designed to be in the game. And I like that interpretation. And then everything else, ugly. Who the fuck is ugly is completely a nonsensical thing. There's not an argument for narrative quality. Roman soldiers were told to be fat and muscular. I mean, that was I don't know about the soldiers necessarily, but I know that was a gladiatorial thing in the Colosseum, that gladiators would want to be a little bit fatty because you could cut fat and it wouldn't necessarily be the worst injury. Like you could cut fat and bleed a lot and it would look really good from a presentation style or presentation standpoint, and it wouldn't necessarily stop you from being able to continue fighting. So they would like kind of fatten up around the arms and legs so that you could like get a slash in your arm. Like, not a super deep one, obviously, but you can get slashed in the arm and kind of be like, oh, and then bleed all over yourself. You're traveling across a landscape, you can burn that fat. Yeah, if you're going on, like, a voyage, I guess. On a long march.
Their heads torn off in a violent QuickTime event. But the player is robbed of this opportunity and is instead punished with hours upon hours of unskippable cutscenes, filled with saccharine midwit art-ho jank. God of War used to be the ultimate male power fantasy. It was fun, visceral, and bombastic. Kratos died the greatest hero in history, having destroyed Olympus and protected the world from Greek people for all time. His story.
The whole point is that he's not a good, like, even in the old games, it was kind of like it was very clearly bad for everybody that he did what he did. Like, that's insane. From a narrative standpoint, you're wrong. From a personal, not racist standpoint, you're also wrong. What the fuck is that argument? And it's like, it's one thing to be like, I don't like the new games because they're not in the same style as the old games, and I wish they played like the old games and they were less about the story. That's like a personal... subjective thing, whatever. That doesn't mean the game's not bad. That means it's not for you, right? I tried playing Expedition 33 this last week. I tried it before, and I was trying it again today, or like the other 2 days ago, or something like that. Everybody keeps saying that it's like the best game ever, and whatever, and everything like that. And I can understand why. I've seen people like enjoy it and stuff. And from what bits I played myself, I was like, yeah, I can understand why people are into this. I'm just really not into it because that style of like JRPG combat, that turn-based combat, I really don't like. It annoys me, and I don't like it. I think the only other game I've played with that kind of combat is like the Stick of Truth game, the South Park game, and it's just not my kind of game. Like, it's just not a game that I can't. Baldur's Gate 3 is the same for you? Yeah, exactly. Like, I know people who can't get into Baldur's Gate 3 is like that. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 for me is different because it plays more like XCOM or Gears Tactics, which I love. But, like, the specific JRPG nature of the turn-based stuff in Expedition, Clair Obscur, I just can't get into. That doesn't mean that the game's a bad game or that, like, nobody deserves to play it. If you play it, you're a cuck. It just means it's a game that's not for me. Now, if your complaint is, I don't like the new games because they're so narrative-focused and it's not all about the violence and the viscera, Doom came out a week ago, man. Go play Doom. Go play a different game. I don't know what to tell you. It's not for you? Yeah, that sucks. Cool. Go play Doom. Like, there are still male power fantasy games you can go play. Like, what? Like, that's just not... an argument. Like, okay, I understand your grief. That doesn't make it bad. You're just stupid.
Story was complete. He achieved the resolution and outcome he wanted, and no one was able to stop him. It was satisfying and awesome.
I don't think that's the outcome Kratos wanted, to be honest. Like, it was his outcome eventually, but I feel like his outcome would have been to be at peace and have his wife and daughter back. I don't think that's... Okay.
But gamers and nerds cannot ever accept that something has died. They're insatiable.
You can't say gamers and nerds like it's pejorative. When your thing is called Black Lodge Games, you are a gamer and a nerd. You're sitting here being mad about a fictional Greek man. What do you mean, gamers and nerds? You're a fucking nerd, dude. Well, no. Nerd would be somebody who's like at least smart or competent. I guess you're just like a geek or a dork, as it would be referred to in the stuffing of lockers.
Appetite for slop and nostalgia created an inescapable gravity well of consumer demand for more Kratos, and the developers delivered in the only...
I feel like it's not nostalgia to have Kratos appear again, maybe initially, because it's like Kratos. There's nothing necessarily in those games that pulls on nostalgia. Maybe Valhalla a little bit is a little bit nostalgic in the way that it like specifically is referencing all the Greek stuff, because it's like specifically a trip down memory lane. But it doesn't do anything in the new games where it's like, hey, look, see, it's like the old games you liked. It's like that's not what nostalgia is. Just continuing a story that existed in the past is not the same as using nostalgia as a bait point or like a selling point. It's just not what that is. You're just wrong.
The way they knew how. Come up with a new character and make a spiritual sequel series that could stand on its own? No. They decided to dig up Kratos' corpse and inject him with birth control so that he could punish anyone who loved his...
What does birth control have to do with... You just racist and... Do you not know how birth control works? Do you think birth control has something to do with HRT?
Awesome deeds. The only way to continue a story that is already complete is to tear it down, deconstruct it, subvert the foundations of what made it great, and punish the player for ever liking it in the first place.
Hold on. Do you think it's a bad thing to subvert expectations and deconstruct a story? Deconstruction of a story is like entirely the point of Andor, the Star Wars series. And let me tell you, that is some of the best Star Wars stuff. I just got done, me and my fiance fucking watched the entire first season in the last 2 days because I got hooked on that shit. That is like some of the best Star Wars story stuff I've seen since Mando season 1. And like deconstructing the myth of the rebels and how that whole thing works versus the Empire is like the best part of that show.
People played God of War because it was cartoonishly violent and because it was fun to kill the gods. Do
you not think that like the God of War Ragnarok and the 2018 game are cartoonishly violent? What? You're still fighting on like giants and dragons and a dog that can't die. It's still pretty cartoony. The red text is corny, yeah. It's like I'm doing a thematic thing, but I'm doing a thematic thing in Arial font. It's so bad.
Games spend their entire runtime showing Kratos as an apologetic and guilt-racked shell of his former self. Everyone knows that his...
Are you trying to like... It's like he's trying to do the... Oh, what's the fucked up CIA thing called? Where you bossing say somebody? Where he's trying to like give you subliminal messages to make you like agree with his side. Probably hasn't played the game. I mean, normally I wouldn't put it past people like that. He doesn't have anything to say about... We're a minute 30 into a 5.5 minute video. He has not said a single thing about the gameplay, not said a single thing about the characters outside of it is not the old games. Okay.
Its stoicism is just a mask, and every time that mask slips and the player is allowed to be Kratos for a few brief moments, they're immediately told by the game that this is bad, dangerous, and wrong. All of the things that make Kratos a man are evil. These games are made from a fundamentally feminine point of view. Everything that we all celebrate about Kratos in the past is now scary and dangerous, and we're subjected to endless midwit dialogue and philosophizing about it. And this is why midwits and women have absolutely eaten this.
I don't think you understand the point of the Ragnarok. Not to be like you don't understand it, but as like the cinephile guy, but like it's not that like being violent and waging war is a bad thing. wanton, untold destruction causes a lot of, damage to everything around you, and maybe focusing in that rage to help people rather than just go out and, lose yourself is probably a better place to be at on the new God of War than... I mean, I love the new God of War games. I think they do a great job. As somebody who didn't grow... I mean, admittedly, I didn't grow up with the old God of War games. I grew up... My first console was the 360. I played Gears of War, Sonic 06, Sonic the Werehog, Sonic Unleashed, Lego, Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars. I didn't grow up with the God of War games. I didn't even really give a shit about Kratos because my GOW was Gears until I got a PS5 in 2022 and I played 2018 for the first time. I had no frame of reference for them, and I played those games before I even knew what the story of the old games were. And gotta say, I prefer the newer games. Maybe that would be different if I grew up with it, but I don't think I would hate it. If Gears of War did the same thing where it tried to deconstruct war, what it means to be at war and stuff like that. Judgment kind of. I'm making a years later video on it and how Judgment kind of starts to do that, but really, really misses the mark. If Gears of War did that, I would be elated. I would love that. I'd love a story that I can sink my teeth into. And what's it like? You think you're better than everybody? From that kind of lens of from that way of thinking, I like digging into stories like that. As much as I can appreciate the story or the gameplay and the violence and stuff of the action. Much attention to the new God of War until recently, since mythology is a big love for you. Yeah, I don't know how accurate. I mean, I don't think any of the games are necessarily super... God of War with mythology is like Assassin's Creed with history. It's there. You could tell what characters are based on how they act and how they're presented, but they're not exactly, one-to-one with the actual myths.
Game up. Every God of War video is either pseudo-intellectual analysis of the...
I like how he's showing exclusively videos from Fat Brett and saying every God of War video, but it's all the same, the same creator. I think he just doesn't like Fat Brett.
Deep characters and moral philosophy of the franchise, or videos of chicks bawling their eyes out about the tortured family drama of fatherhood and intergenerational trauma.
I'll say it. I cried my fucking eyes out playing those games. If you think it makes you less of a man to cry, let me tell you, you're a bitch. If you're so scared about your masculinity that you can't let out a tiny little droplet of water, if that's the one thing stopping you from opening the fucking pickle jar, if that's the one thing getting in the way of you being a true man, you're a fucking bitch. You're like the worst. Oh, God.
It's a worldview rooted entirely in fear and shame. You're being bamboozled by the melodramatic emotionalism of the dialogue and tears of the characters to distract you from the fact that Kratos could solve literally every problem in Midgard just by telling his son to shut the fuck up.
I mean, yeah, again, not to do the you're missing the point thing, but the whole point is that he doesn't want to solve all the problems by just killing everybody, because the last time he did that, he wiped out an entire race of people. Now, I know you're kind of racist and you don't care about people if they're not, probably straight or white. Kratos, voiced by two black men, and is very much not white, by the way. The whole point of the game is maybe it's not a good thing to do that and be, driven exclusively by the emotion of rage. Maybe having a softer hand helps you be a better hero. The only thing that got in my way of being a man was being a woman.
Up and watch Daddy take his belt off and go to work. Just think about it for 5 seconds. Is this place one that actually deserves to exist? Is there a single character that doesn't deserve to have the shit beat out of them? Do any of these people look intimidating at all? Instead of power...
I mean, you could say that if fucking 9-foot-tall Thor walked up to me with that hammer, I'd shit my britches. I'm not... you think just because he's, wide means that you're gonna take him on? You put this guy in the Impractical Jokers episode where Joe has to fight the sumo wrestler? Dude, you're not making it. That guy will kill you. What are you talking about? I like how you also refuse to use any evidence whatsoever. I know it's because you didn't play the game. You're using footage from a YouTube channel that you ripped off the site. But like, there's no evidence about like, oh, do these people deserve to exist? No. Okay, why? How did you come to that conclusion? What do you mean by deserve to exist? What the fuck does that even mean? You're just hating on it. But like in a way that is not even well thought out. You're just being like, not kill people. What the fuck? Like, you're just mad.
Powerful enemies to defeat. Kratos is walking on eggshells around fat alcoholics and pencil-necked.
Okay, there's one. Thor's the one heavy character in the game. It's a lot to call people dorks when you're a fucking dork. Thor from mythology is a meathead. I mean, Thor in the Marvel movies is also a meathead, but he's like, you know, he's not described as being like this fucking Adonis. That's a Marvel thing. That's a superhero thing. Him being a powerlifter, in my eyes, is a lot fucking cooler.
Dorks. Is there anyone who thought that Odin seemed imposing when he made his entrance?
Who says Odin has to be imposing? He is always described as like the old wizard character. The video assumes we agree with it. Well, because it's meant to farm engagement from those kinds of people. But also, when has Odin ever been portrayed as fake fan? Odin has always been like the, you know, mysterious guy who like craves power, and it's kind of like the, you know, old man wanderer who shows up at your doorstep on a thunderous night at 3 a.m. and is like, let me use your campfire, I'm going to turn you into a fucking goat. Like, that is how he works. He's always been like that. He's not like, it's not like they're going to Zeusify him where he shows up and he's like, look at my six-pack, Kratos, fight me. And like that, like that's like an insanely bad story. Thor is thought to be honorable in Marvel. Myth doesn't have a moral compass. That's true, I guess, yeah.
He's 5 fucking feet tall, and this is just a humiliation ritual for people who like God of War. And who wrote...
What? Fellas, is it gay to be 5 foot? Somebody pull up the clip of Moist Critical flexing, you know?
This is student film level dog shit. Zeus was literally Mr. Olympia. So what's a real threat look like? Obviously, a chinless weakling from Brooklyn. The only reason that Kratos doesn't just immediately...
So, like, to you, scary is big muscles? There's nothing scary about a man who, like, uses nothing but, like, who everybody fears? Like, a guy who everybody fears but is not imposing at all, to me, is way more scary than a guy who everyone fears because he's yelling at everybody. The fuck are you talking about?
Rip his head off is because the character has already internalized the feminized worldview they want you to swallow. Kratos doesn't kill Odin and Thor because he doesn't want his son to turn out like he has, which is insane because the message is
that's not at all what it is. Like, yes, he doesn't want Atreus to turn out like him, but he explicitly says, if I let myself go there, I'm just going to kill everybody. He's literally got the Batman thing where he's like, if I kill one of them, I'm going to go through and I'm going to fuck up everybody who gets in my way. That's just wrong. You're just wrong.
But Atreus shouldn't stand up to obvious evil. He should just let bad faith actors walk right into his house and put his family in danger. You know what would be an actual good thing to show to your child? That you care enough about them that you won't let losers into your house who want to weaponize your good nature against you. There is nothing good, heroic, or laudable about letting some nerd...
So, guys, the heroic thing to do is the second the USPS post officer comes to your door, light them up with buckshot. First thing, you don't want to let that nerd into the house. You don't want them to get close. Just light them up. Don't even open the door. Shoot them through the door, actually, for the sin of coming up and knocking on your door. That is the man way to do it. Don't try to talk to them. Don't try to, solve your differences because he called you dumb and gay and you were kind of into it. Don't try and solve your differences. Just buckshot right to the chest. That's how it's done.
Nerd walk right over you. The world of Midgard is a miserable place that's run by miserable people. I mean, Freya and Odin raised Balder to be a psychotic meth head, and by accepting the writer's framing, Kratos is doing the same thing to Atreus. Balder
wasn't raised by Freya. That's like the point, and it's miserable because Odin's running it. And Greece was also kind of miserable. The story opens with Kratos having to pray to the gods to help him slay his enemies because him and his family and all his men were about to be slaughtered. What? You can't, do a... By the way, his first complaint was that, like, it's bad for a story to be deconstructive, and he was mad that everybody is, like, specifically Fat Brett is deconstructing the story. And here he is trying to deconstruct the story in his own world and his own frame of reference and worldview, but also just really, really bad at it. Balder wanted to die because his mother made sure nothing could kill him. Well, yeah, nothing but mistletoe.
Became indestructible because Freya wanted to keep him, quote, safe. And this is exactly what Kratos does the entire time. He's afraid that his son will have agency and make his own choices, which will cause him to suffer danger. So to avoid this, Kratos spends the entirety of 2 games effectively castrating his son.
Have you never? What the fuck are you talking about? That is like parenting 101. Do you not have parents? I know you don't have kids. You're not somebody who has empathy. If you have kids, I'm gonna start like talking in hyperbole and being really, really mean. Obviously, if you had kids, you would probably beat them. That's hyperbole. It's a joke, guys. In Minecraft, in Israel. But like, do you not have parents? Did you like agree with your parents on every single thing? Your parents were never like hard on you, or probably not if you grew up to be such an insanely misguided, unintelligent miscreant. But like, how do you not? That is parenting 101. Like the teenager who wants to go and do their own thing and their parents coming down hard on them because they don't want them to make stupid choices is like the oldest tale in the fucking book. Like that is that is like character interpersonal dynamics like 101. That's literally like the classic Star Wars thing.
He lets Freya, that demonic witch that raised Balder, into...
She didn't raise Balder. The game tells us that Balder was like raised basically by Odin. Because Freya was banished to Midgard. I know you didn't play the game, and I know you're just saying woman, therefore witch. No evidence of anything, no actual critique of anything. You're just seeing things. He's doing the Andy Pants thing. He's doing the Arch thing. He's doing the every grifter who does this of like woman, bad, man, bad. Like there's no. He really wants to say bitch. He would just call her a bitch, which he might have already, and he probably will do going forward.
To his life and tells Atreus that they should be friends with her, despite her poisonous worldview being the explicit cause of all the suffering in the land.
Okay, so we're just going to put... You said that Odin was like you acknowledged that Odin was a manipulator at the very beginning, said that there was a bad thing he was a manipulator, bad thing of the story, not to the world. And then you come around and you blame everything on Freya because woman? What? Dog whistles have turned to bells. It's not even like a dog whistle or a dog bell. He's just saying woman bad.
And all masculine power is viewed as dangerous and evil, and despite the best efforts of the game developers, they end up showing that suppressing masculinity creates a hellish world of suffering and anguish. Would Midgard be a better place if Odin wasn't basically just a woman with a beard? Would Balder have been such a...
What makes him a woman with a beard? Because he's scheming? Because he's a bad person? Because he's a manipulator? You're a fucking moron.
Lunatic freak if he had been allowed to live the dangerous life that his nature demanded? Would Thor have been so fucking fat if he just stood up to his father, who he could literally devour? But violence is bad. Well, you know what? That's what caused this world to be in this...
If you think violence is bad is the thematic core of God of War Ragnarok, you're just fucking stupid. That's not what the story is at all. This scene also made me ball up. I don't know how you could see somebody. Obviously, it's fake. It's fictional. Whatever. But like a guy like mourning the loss of his brother, like after he'd like given everything to everybody else, and then nobody else loses anything but him. You just see him like crying and stuff in the performance given by Sindri's actor. I don't know, man. That's a tearjerker right there. That shit. You tell me you watch the Iron Giant and you feel nothing above or below deck? Like you're just devoid of humanity. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to be unempathetic. Empathy is a value and a virtue, and it's the reason we've made it fucking 10,000 years as civilized society, is because we have at least the very basic empathy of helping the people around us and helping us get to levels never before seen. Otherwise, we would still be random fucking gorillas in the forest stabbing each other.
State that it's in already. Kratos suppressing his nature makes it worse. He needs to kill gods. That's his identity. Kratos needs...
His identity is not to kill gods. That's crazy. His identity was never killing gods. His identity was that he was driven by rage.
Violence, like Dave Blunt's needs lean and sheet cakes. He wouldn't be the same man without it. The world is hell. Nobody learns anything. Kratos fails as a father, and the devs made $1 trillion. If you've been fooled into thinking these games were good, put down the Impossible Burger and get your testosterone checked, because
this reads like satire, though. Whoa, that's what he looks like? Guys, I'm going down the rabbit hole. Those were like 10 years ago. He stopped making stuff... He was making like book review stuff and D&D stuff for 9 years ago. That never popped off. And then he showed up again 2 years ago. Bro, you cannot be bald and telling me what masculinity is. Sorry, that's just not how that works. I hate that because that's like the same image of Kratos I used in my thumbnail of my God of War video. It's weird that it's all like D&D stuff, and then it's like, here's my Andy Pants insert about God of War. Because it reads like an Andy Pants video where it's like he's not talking about anything about the game. Oh, I want to watch this one about Brennan. What does he mean by an actor, not a role player?
He laughs uproariously.
Look at me. This is not who you are.
His failed hobby career to grifter pipeline. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna make videos about D&D. Well, no, because that one he did about being toxic masculinity in D&D was 2 years ago. So yeah, he was making videos about books and things like that he loved, and then he's like, no.
This is not who you are. Who am I? You're not this.
Why isn't my game as dramatic as this? Why is it always falling flat? Why can't I think of something cool to say like these trained actors and improvisers? Do I need to go to acting school just to play this?
Oh, he's not bald
game?
in this one.
Well, I've actually been to acting school. I've spent countless hours in
You went to acting school? You bitch! You beta
study. I've performed in plays. And
that's the thing that makes me think that it's like entirely a grift, because like if you are in Ginger guys, he's got the pass, he's Ginger. That's what like rings the bell to me, that it's like a grift, or at least like a satirical thing. Like you're fucking around with it, is the fact that like anybody who's like a part of that grift would not be like, oh, and by the way, I went to acting school. That's not, because that doesn't align with the worldview set forth in the grift. The grift is, I'm a true, alpha male. I work out and I'm big and I'm buff and I fuck women and sometimes dudes. But like, that's the grift. The grift would never be like, I went to acting school and I'm socially conscious, because that's just being a regular person. So like, that's the kind of thing that immediately sounds off in my brain. It's like, oh, you're just like saying bullshit to attract clicks to a failing YouTube channel. He's a gatekeeper who thinks gatekeeping is a good thing. A lot of people think gatekeeping. By the way, where we are as a human civilization is entirely and exclusively because of not gatekeeping. Working together as a collective has gotten us here. Sharing knowledge and information has gotten us to where we are.
Done voiceover work professionally, and I'm here to tell you that none of that matters when you're playing an RPG. Now, these shows like Critical Role and Dimension...
Okay, so this is just saying you don't have to act your heart out. This is like I don't know how he gets into it. Hold on.
How long are you here for?
Why are we watching Smut?
You easy, Matt.
Clear that Vivian is deliberately putting on a performance of a character to an audience, while Brando is simply living in the character while on screen. Lee comes across as extremely theatrical, one who is trying to create...
So it's just a video saying that, like, when you're playing D&D, which is, by the way, a good thing, you don't have to try and, like, be a big theatrical thing, because Dimension 20 and Critical Role are not how you play D&D. You play D&D with your friends. Like, you could set it up like that, sure, but your game's not going to be like that. D&D is you setting up with your friends and fucking around for however many hours. Whether or not you take it more seriously or you take it not so seriously is entirely up to you, and your, like, party or whatever. Like, I've got a player who every time we do our Warhammer game, his name is Count Von fucking Dracula. literally verbatim. And it's like, okay, we're not taking this seriously. We're going full in on the Warhammer satire. And then I've got games where like we play and everyone's got their character, everyone's got their name and everything like that set out. And it's like, oh, this is like a somewhat serious thing we're putting together. And like, we're not taking it super seriously. You know, gaffes and goofs still happen. That's whatever. We're completely off topic from like the original point of diving into this now. But like, you don't have to be Dimension 20, Brandon Lee Mulligan, or Critical Role. Critical Role has some fantastic voice actors on there. Like, they're all very prolific. Laura Bailey has been in almost every video game of the last decade. Like, she's in Injustice, she's in Gears of War, she's in fucking everything. He also did one on Vampire Masquerade saying anarchists aren't leftists, and shows a queer woman be hosed down by police. Jesus Christ. Black Lodge Games is on a mission from God to bring high-level immersion and atmosphere to tabletop role-playing games. No apologies, no compromises. Okay, so that's where all the views are coming from. I was like, your videos aren't getting views. That's what I take pride in my channel. Most of my views are organic from my actual videos. I don't post shorts to try and boost my view count in the algorithm, which is probably, a bad thing. I probably should be posting more shorts because it's what YouTube wants you to do, but I'm not going to do it because it's too much time and I don't give a fuck. But it's like, this is like reads entirely as a grift and something he doesn't believe in, because you can't be so emotionally, not necessarily emotionally, but like realistic and intelligent about the process of going through and acting out D&D, even if the way that video is phrased is like supposed to get out a loud reaction from people looking at it and being like, you're making fun of Bradley Mulligan? Hi from Sam and Steven. Hey, Steven. I got my chest hair out tonight just for you, buddy. But it's like, it's one thing to go from being like somewhat in like having an intelligent, coherent thought to going full Andy Pants, woman equals bad, my son is a literal child, therefore he's gay. Like, that is like so very clearly a grift, like that is front and center to me. That everything, not to dismiss and not to say that the racist things he said in that video aren't still racist, and things like that, or just straight up sexist, or just straight up stupid, like everything else he was talking about. But it's very, very clear to me that he's doing it because this video got 12,000 fucking views, and the rest of the shit he makes gets a lot less than that. Some of them do decently well, sure, for the content he's making. Most of these do not. Although he has been doing it for some time, but he has only been doing it, as it seems, in the last 2 years. That's an awful looking video right there, buddy. I'm sorry. 10 years ago, 2015, there is no reason for you to make a YouTube video that looks that bad in 2015. The tools were out. But, like, the fact that, like, it looked somewhat serious a decade ago, during the height of, like, hot button political topics on YouTube, and then he comes back 2 years later, and then now he's making, videos that are like that. Maybe, or like even like a year ago, he's making stuff that's like somewhat serious and has thought put into it, and then now he's putting out shit like that. And you could say maybe changed over like the last decade, and that is like an opinion he has, and he's just becoming more outward with it. To me, it just looks like it's a grift. It looks like bullshit. It's still racist bullshit, but it just looks like bullshit from what I can see. But we're done with that. I have had enough of my brain melting. Let's get to do it.